welcome to this week's NSA Carolinas Speaker Spotlight. I'm here with Tim Conniff, our Spotlight speaker for this month. And hey, Tim, I'm so excited to ask you a few questions.
I'm excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
I should probably tell people who I am. I'm Julie Hasson. Tim and I are newer members of NSA, and I'm excited that you're going to get to know him. So, Tim, you are a corporate guy turned comedian and keynote speaker. What was your path from the corporate office to the stage?
Wow. So once the kids got older, through like half of high school and stopped playing all their travel sports and all those other things, you find out you have a lot of time on your hands. So one night, my wife and I were out at the local comedy club here watching an open mic, and I had an I can do that moment. Too often we go through life and we have these, I can never do that. I can't do that. But I had an I can do that moment. So I went home and I emailed the club owner and I said, I want to get on your next open mic. And he said, you're on. And I gathered up my jokes and went and did it and did 5 minutes. And he's like, that was really good. I'd like to have you back. And so I started doing stand-up comedy, and that went really, really well. I had like 75 bookings my first year, which is not the norm in comedy at all. And then what happened to get into speaking is I was working for Johnson and Johnson at the time, and they asked me if I would do stand-up for our administrative professionals on admin day. And I was certainly, I love them. They're the best. They said, okay, 45 minutes. And I did not have 45 minutes. I had about 15 minutes at best. So I said, well, I have this idea for a talk called Your Comfort Zone is No Joke. It's about getting out of your comfort zone. How do you overcome failures and avoid that negative self-talk that we all face? They said, perfect. So I did it. And it went really, really well. And I thought, well, I might be onto something here. And I started to market it and build it and did the Rotary clubs, the chambers, all that. And then I started getting booked by Fortune 500 companies. And this was going great. And then last September or so, about a year ago, my company had a big downsizing in our operating company. They closed up the whole operating company. So I had a decision to make. Do I try to find another job within the company or take the severance and blaze a new trail? So at that point, the speaking was really starting to take off, and I was really enjoying that, along with comedy too, of course. So I said, I'm gonna go for it. And if I miss corporate America desperately, I'm sure I could convince someone to hire me, but it has not gotten to that point. I'm loving what I'm doing, and that's how I got to this point.
Oh, I love that. And I see your schedule on your website and I see how busy you are. So it's clearly
Yeah,
resonating with folks.
yeah.
I know that our audiences connect with us through humor, and goodness
Mhm.
knows we all need to laugh a bit right now. So, talk about how you use humor to connect, and how do you infuse your talks with humor?
Yeah, so my typical talk, I will start out with about, 5, 10, 15 minutes of clean stand-up comedy to really break the ice with the audience, get them laughing, get them relaxing. And because the talk I give is when I talk about getting out of your comfort zone to grow and develop, when I talk about overcoming failures and avoiding negative self-talk, I do that all through the lens of my stand-up comedy journey. So I think it's important that I establish the fact that, yes, here I'm doing it. I am a professional stand-up comedian. So that's part one, and then it evolves into more of a humorous talk. So the difference between stand up and a humorous talk: stand up, you're punching every 10 to 12 seconds. You're trying to get that laugh. Maybe 5, 6, 10 laughs a minute. Whereas when I get into a humorous talk, the laughter still is throughout, but it might be every like 30 to 45 seconds. And one of the things that I have learned is that when you make them laugh, you make them listen.
Mm.
And to be able to carry a talk for 60, 75, or even 90 minutes, the fact of the matter is when it's a talk like that and there's frequent use of humor, they don't know what's coming next. So they really have to listen in so they kind of get the setup and the joke and the punchline and all that stuff. So I think it keeps your audience engaged throughout the whole, time and tenure of your talk.
I love that connection and
Hmm.
engagement. Two things we're all looking for as speakers. So, when you are infusing your talks with those jokes and those funny moments, where do you get all your ideas? How are you writing all that? That's a lot of humorous content. How are you writing all of that?
Yes, and when you see a performer, let's take the hottest guy out there right now, Nate Bargatze.
Mm,
He made $80 million doing stand up last year,
wow.
which is exactly 80 million more than I made doing stand up last year. So he's doing really well. So, and the fact of the matter is, he turns his set over a whole hour every year.
Mm,
And that's for, someone who hasn't done stand up. that is simply amazing. Now I know he probably has writers and all that other stuff, but that's a lot of material to write, get out and work it out in front of a crowd, because stand up is not something you can learn in your basement. You could probably play guitar, piano, and you could learn different skill sets, but you really need an audience. You need a live audience because you need to know if the joke is funny. Everything we write and everything we take to stage, we think is funny, or else we wouldn't get up there saying, I know this isn't going to work. So you have to, and when I do my talk, when I talk about failure, I have a stack of papers like this. It's 55 pages, front and back, small font, single space. They are jokes I've written over the last few years. Thankfully, most of those will never see the light of the day, because when I go back and read them, I'm like, what were you smoking? I don't even know what you were trying to be funny about there. But every so often you'll go through and you're like, okay, that was funny. I see where I was trying to get with that. Then you'll take it to an open mic, or you'll try to weave it into a set somewhere along the way. And then you find out if it's funny or not. And it's a very iterative process. You have to have a lot of failure to get those few jokes that make the travel team along the way. So it's a lot. You have to write. I keep a notes app on my phone. And a lot of speakers do this as well, because whether you're coming up with a joke or a story that you could use in your keynote talk, you need that bank to pull from. So I have like 10 different notes apps that got so long that I had to start a new one that I go back and revisit from time to time and see if there's any funny I can pull out of there to write the joke, and then go try it to see if it works its way into my set ultimately. And then the topics are everything from marriage to kids to where I live, where I used to live, some current events, workplace, whatever inspires me, whatever I think is funny at the time. There's a good likelihood that others like yourself will think it's funny too, but not always.
So you're saying the best way to write good jokes is to write a lot of jokes.
Yeah. It's like kind of like I was in the pharmaceutical business for, many years. It's like drug discovery. You really need thousands of molecules that you're running through these labs to come up with that one that's going to lower cholesterol or work on depression or whatever it is you're trying to treat. It takes a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot of work. It looks so easy.
Yeah. Well, that's good if it's looking easy. That means the comedian's probably doing it right if it looks
That's
easy.
right. Well, I would say when you do it, me, maybe not.
Uh, Thank you.
So what advice do you have for us, Tim, those of us who want to incorporate a little more humor in our talks, engage the audience, and make them feel more connected with us through humor?
Yeah, I think there's a few things you could do. Is number one, you don't have to go to a comedy club to get up there on stage to try a joke. There's other times I'll try to, if we're out to dinner with another couple, or even if I'm at the family. My wife will tell me 90% of my jokes are not funny, and then I'll try it out on my teenage kids, and I'm like, yeah, that's funny. So you can't. If one person tells you it's not funny, don't throw it out yet. Give it a try. So you could try it out in different venues like that to see if it's funny, to see if it works. That's one way. Another way is there's a lot of stuff out there in the public domain. Like, not everybody wants to get on stage and be a comedian, nor should they, depending on what their topic is. But I think most talks, most keynotes would be enhanced greatly if they did have some humor throughout. So you could do that maybe with a funny picture on a slide. With a dad joke, some of the street jokes that are out there. You could recycle some of this stuff. It's not like you're stealing it. It's stuff that's been out there, posted a million times, memes, things of that nature, just to get your feet wet and get started with infusing a little humor into your talk. And then obviously you could work with a comedian and ask someone to punch it up for you.
I'm going to try things out on my grad students. They're a tough crowd, so I'll let
that
you
would
know.
that would be a good test. Yeah, that would be a good test.
So what else would you like us to know about you, and where can we find you?
Oh, what else would I like you to know about me? I love the Carolinas. I used to live in Raleigh. My brother lives in Charlotte. My son goes to the University of South Carolina, so we do spend a lot of time down there. If any of the speakers ever want to connect, I'd be happy to do that. I have a website, timconniff.com, CONNIFF.com. That has my schedule that I try to keep updated. Every so often I get a show in North Carolina. I was at the Comedy Zone in Charlotte over the summer. I would love to get more shows down in the Carolinas because winter's coming in Pennsylvania and I need to get out of here. And then I'm pretty active on LinkedIn and at Tim Conniff on Instagram.
Well, thank you, Tim, for all the great advice, for being our Spotlight Speaker, and thank you, everyone, for joining us for this month's episode of Spotlight Speaker.
Thanks for having me.